What's up, fellas? Welcome to this video about how I went from this socially anxious kid who was just lost with the ladies growing up to eventually being the confident, high value man and coach that you guys seem to know and love. Okay. The reason I'm making this video really is because I constantly get asked the question, how do you know all this stuff? What makes you qualified to coach people? You know, what happened to you? What's your story? Well, I'm going to not only answer that question for you here today, but I'm also going to show you where I started out, what I was doing along the way that was getting me those lack of results that I was dealing with for so many years, and where did things start to change for me, and how did I eventually get to the other side of it? Okay, so let's not even waste any more time. Let's just get right into this thing. All right, so to start this story off, we gotta start when I was younger, going into the teenage years. Even before that, I grew up with social anxiety. I had this fear of talking to people. Okay, if you know anything about social anxiety or even approach anxiety, when you get into conversations with people, your mind goes blank, and so you look at social interactions as this super scary thing. I was dealing with this my whole life, but I didn't even know what it was. In fact, it wasn't until I got into high school that I realized there was a name for it. It was called social anxiety. And so whenever I was in public with people, and I had to make eye contact with teachers or adults or even other people my age, there was a disconnect. I didn't want to make eye contact with anybody. I didn't know how to express myself correctly. It was a real big issue that I had to face. And you could imagine in my shoes, like if you can't express yourself to people and people notice you're awkward or whatever, you're not going to have a lot of confidence. So I started my life with this being a problem, and I hated who I was. Okay? So and then when you put women into that equation, you put girls into that equation, since I was coming from a place that wasn't confident, that showed. So I was always, the needy guy, the desperate guy, the nice guy, all those sorts of things, because I wanted women to like me. But even when a woman would like me and she would tell me she wasn't interested, I was okay with that friend zone. It was perfectly fine for me. Okay. And it was painful because I saw those other guys that I was the same age as, that a lot of them I felt like were uglier than me or more unattractive than me. They were getting success with girls. They could talk to a girl freely. They could do all these things. And I didn't realize why I couldn't do that. Okay. So a couple years later, I ended up going to college. And right before I went to college, I was in a relationship. And I took that relationship to me to college. And I basically was left by that girl. And I forgave her for cheating on me, believe it or not. And so this girl I had just been with who had left me and I forgave her and was trying to make everything work. I had to watch this girl in college hooking up with other guys that I would see here and there and hearing about these things at this small college I was at. And as a result, I straight up hit rock bottom. Okay. I was completely depressed. I sat in my room all day. I was scared to go outside of my room. I didn't want to see her. I was scared that I was going to run into her. I was anxious. I was unconfident. I felt like my entire life had been taken away because the relationship was that serious to me at that point. And so I started taking antidepressants. I started going to the doctor about my anxiety and my depression, and they prescribed me antidepressants, which just did not fix the real issue. And every time I connected with people in college or I was trying to connect with people, they thought something was wrong with me. Like my conversations were robotic. Women would turn away immediately. It was like when you would talk to me, I would be able to greet you, but after that there was nothing. And I try to look up videos of how to talk to people on a basic level, how to just have conversations. Every time I was in a conversation, it was just like a script, and I was stuck and I wasn't my own person. And so then I hit a wake up call, fellas. I told myself I would never let a woman do that to me again. So what is the first thing I did? I willed myself to get back out there. I wanted to get back at her. I wanted to show myself that I could replace her. But the problem with that was when I went out there and I try to go out and I try to make myself feel better, okay? I was rejected by women almost every single time. I was still that awkward guy that was just trying to prove a point, trying to prove her wrong. And at this point, I just got deeper and deeper into this hole. And the rock bottom never felt worse. Okay. So I told myself I had to change. I wanted to be that guy that women actually wanted, that was that confident, that smooth guy that always knew the next step. That's the guy I wanted to be. But there were so many things in my way from getting there. Okay. So nothing was working, fellas. Nothing was working. But I did try everything. Okay. I tried getting a better look. I tried using certain lines I was looking at on social media. I was watching the dating coach YouTube content, red pill advice, approach videos. This is a picture of me and Myron when I went out to Florida a little bit into COVID. Okay. I would take the action, but I saw little to no results. I was watching all these guys on social media who were telling me all these things about women, and women are bad and women are this and women are that, and you should only want, this out of them. And so when I would apply myself to the ladies, they would say things like, "You're doing too much. You don't even want to get to know me first. I'm good." They would just continue rejecting me. And at this point, I'm watching guys on social media, again, who are getting results, and I don't realize why I'm not. I'm even taking their advice and it's still not working. But then it started to click for me. I started to realize why this was happening. Okay. So I started to get a little bit of a taste of change. I realized that, hey, if I'm going to really, turn the corner, I got to start facing this social anxiety issue. I got to develop my social skills. I got to understand women better, improve my dating skills, and start gaining some experiences, right? I started taking everything that I learned and I started trying to apply it even more and even more and even more through straight trial and error. Okay. But here was the thing. I still felt like there was something off. I was getting results. I had some game. I was really starting to come into my own, but there was still something off. I didn't really feel like me. I was an actor in a movie. So I got Michael B. Jordan on here. I was acting like I knew the type of guy that got women, but instead of being that guy, I just tried to act like that guy. And as a result, women would notice this shit. And since I didn't have the confidence or the respect for myself on top of the game, I was still dealing with low quality women. I was allowing abuse. I had no sexual discipline. I would go out and I would just throw myself at girls, the first one that nibbled. Okay. I was never putting myself first. I still didn't know who I was. I was just this one huge actor, and women would take advantage of these flaws because these flaws are things that I never addressed. Okay. I never addressed self-respect. I never addressed discipline. I was allowing all these women to still be a part of my life, even though they weren't good for me. Okay. Then I made a real change. And this is what really cracked the code for me. I started putting myself first. I stopped overlooking my flaws like a lack of self-respect, fear of rejection, nice guy syndrome, anxiety, people pleasing, pretending to be someone I'm not. I told myself that, yeah, I have the game, but shit's not working because I'm still not the guy that's actually going to be attractive to women and the high value guy that's going to have a purpose and a vision. I'm not that guy. I'm just pretending to be that guy. So I started loving myself and building my confidence and discipline from the core while developing a high value mindset, putting myself first with women, not letting women take advantage of me, putting my life first and having that self-respect. Okay. I knew the guy that I wanted to be. It started to become very, very clear who I needed to be. And I started aligning myself with him. I started thinking, this guy that I want to be, what is he doing every single day? What does his mindset look like? How is he treating himself every single day? So yeah, I told myself I had goals that I wanted to achieve. I went harder at my job. I started going to the gym because those are all things that I knew I wanted to do. That was a part of the man that I wanted to be. So that's the key, right? Now, when I made this change for myself, women completely changed. Okay. I could attract women not only with the words that were coming out of my mouth, but by who I was as a man. And the best part of this whole thing was that I no longer had to act. I actually became the man that women found attractive. It wasn't just the words, it was me as a man on top of that. So what I realized is not every woman could have a seat at my table. And I was okay with any result from them. If a woman was acting hot and cold with me, or a woman was showing a little bit of disinterest or giving me a hard time, I would just let her walk away. I wouldn't fight for it. I wouldn't sit there and try to fight to make things work. I would just say to her, okay, that's fine. I was okay with any result because I knew what my purpose was. I knew what my vision was. And I knew that I was the type of man that would attract the woman that I wanted. So I became internally validated. I started building my own confidence, my own mindset, and my own self-love. What I call, if you've watched my content, is the high value mindset. I took it on completely. And I became unfazed by rejection. Rejection never bothered me anymore like it used to. And I finally found out what it felt like to live in abundance with women and to be chased by them. Because they want to chase the guy who has things going on and who has that self-respect and that confidence. It's not the guy who's trying to pretend and trying to, dismiss his own shit and trying to hide things about himself. It's the guy that's sure about himself that they want. So they saw I wasn't entirely focused on them. I had the goals, I had the confidence, and I cared about myself, and they wanted to be a part of it. So in the end, when I took the game and the skill sets and I mixed them with me being a higher value version of myself, a man who was confident, had the self-belief, had the mindset, had the beliefs, and then also understood female nature. When I combined those two things together, that's when I actually started to change. But listen, I did it, but don't be like me, okay? Do not be like me. It took me 6 years from 18 years old to 24 years old to figure this all out, okay? And more specifically, it cost me $15,000 in debt when I chose to go to a college with a girl that ended up not being right for me. And I made a life decision because of a woman. Okay, it cost me $15,000 in debt. I didn't have the self-respect. I should have left her when she cheated on me, but I didn't do it. And now I'm still paying that today. In the bottom right corner, you see I got about $10,000 left on that debt. Okay. I went through years of trial and error, not knowing my mistakes. Listen, one thing you guys should know about me is I am resilient. I am going to try as hard as I can after rejection, after rejection, after rejection. A lot of men don't do that. The amount of rejections and years of trial I had to go through, not knowing my mistakes, it would have made any person give up. But I had to go through that mental abuse of not being good enough, not feeling like I was good enough. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way. I had missed opportunities. My college career was filled with a lot of depression and anxiety and not enjoying myself. It was mixed with a lot of trying to figure out who the hell are you, dude? Okay? And this always had a mental toll on the other areas of my life. I had women affect my workplace, affect my schoolwork, all these different things because I wasn't putting myself first. I had mental and physical abuse from low quality women. Right here on the right, I had to de-escalate a situation with a woman that I was with at some time, and I was physically abused for it. Okay? Dealing with low quality women, always feeling like women knew I was the guy that was going to stick around no matter what. Okay? And I had that feeling of loneliness and scarcity all throughout this process for those entire 6 years. So at this point, man, save the pain. Just get the help. Time is not guaranteed. Don't put yourself through the same bullshit I put myself through to try to figure this thing out. Take it from somebody who made all the mistakes that you're making or will continue to make and has gone through it and understands exactly what it takes. That's who you should take the advice and the coaching from. Okay? It changed me forever, man. I lived a life of pure abundance with women. I had dates anytime I wanted. I built the necessary experiences that I wanted to have as a man. Okay? I had a lot of them. I was more confident than I've ever been in my entire life coming away from that past and into where I am now. My self-belief was through the charts. My self-belief is so high that I even started to do this coaching thing. That couldn't have happened without the high value mindset, believing in myself. I knew that I could put anything I put my mind to after this situation, I could accomplish. Okay, I felt mentally free and loving of who I was as a man. I had not loved myself at any point in my life. until I got to the other side of it, because I knew the core to grow from. I knew where to plant my seed was from myself and not from acting like someone else. Okay. And as a result of living this life, I chose my woman of almost 3 years instead of settling. You see, most guys, when they don't get the dating life figured out, they have to settle for the first woman that takes them on, right? Because they have all these flaws and they don't get a lot of women and they don't feel confident about themselves. So they have to settle because they don't have another option. But when you have the options of abundance and you're that confident guy and you've stepped into that high value version of yourself, you can become the chooser of who sits at your table. And that's exactly what I did with my current girlfriend. Okay. I took my experience, my mistakes, and my expertise, and I started to coach men around the world. Okay. Save the paint, just get the help. Time is not guaranteed, bro. And this is just me and my girlfriend over the past couple years that we've been together. And she's exactly the type of woman that I wanted, guys. I'm telling you, when I say becoming a chooser, I'm not messing around. Okay. I've had low quality women in the past. I told myself I was going to continue to date until I found my woman, and I found her. Okay. And she's able to support me through and through. She loves me for who I am, not who I'm pretending to be. And that's exactly what this whole thing can do. So for you watching this, imagine you're able to attract women with your words and what you say over text. Build yourself from the core through your own confidence, self-respect, self-love. Have a high-value mindset attached to it, and go on dates with quality women wherever you want in an area of abundance where you're no longer operating in scarcity and neediness, and you have the discipline and the right dating mindset to make it all happen. Let's make that happen together. I'm offering free 15-minute one-on-one dating audit calls where I'm just going to talk to you about your situation and where you're struggling and what's preventing you from getting the results you want, and a possible game plan to actually put that into motion. So if that sounds like you and something you're interested in because you're tired of the way things have been going, the years are getting more and more and things are just staying the exact same, this is your opportunity to at least get that insight to see exactly what's in your way and start to walk into that high value self that you know you've been wanting to do for all this time. Okay, so if that sounds like you, click the link down below in the description, book a one-on-one call with me, and I'll see you on the other side.